All right, guys, today's topic, it is another book review. Today we're going to be doing it on Rich Dad, Poor Dad
by our boy, Robert Kiyosaki.
Shout out to Robert Kiyosaki. You're a legend.
Legit. And this book is a bit an entrepreneur's Bible. Before we jump into it, guys, if you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. This book is fantastic. I'm super biased. This is, I think, when so much people say the same thing about a book, I feel like, come on, it's undeniable. Like,
it's more than a book, like you said. It's a Bible. Like,
yeah.
I think it's genuinely a way of life for anybody who's trying to be an entrepreneur or just self-worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think this book just makes you aware. Like, if you're brought up like 95% of America, right? Like, go to school, go to college, get a job for like, you know, for protection, right? Get the pension, get all that good stuff, 401k, retirement, do your 40 years, 30 years, whatever the number is, and then you retire and enjoy life. This book just shatters that, like, that mindset completely. Even if you decide, like, I've had friends that decide to continue on that path, but at least it makes you aware that there is another way to live your life. And this book starts you off with just that. So, like, I'm very grateful for this book.
Yeah, I would say this book is for anybody who's just looking to change their life a little bit. If you feel a little stuck, you feel like, hey, you know, maybe there's something else out there for me. You know, maybe this isn't the way I want to do things. Or even if you do, you just kind of want to see the other perspective. This book will show you the two different paths you can take, right? There's the rich dad and the poor dad approach. And it's not that the poor dad is the wrong approach. It's just it's different, and we don't talk about it. We only talk about the poor dad approach in our way of life in America. I'm not going to speak for other countries. I don't know how things are done, but at least from us, you know, being inner city kids growing up, going to public school, this life, it's like get a good job, stay in school, get a career, even if you don't like it, grind it out, and then retire. And I do think that was from a lot of our parents' generations, but now that people are starting to invest in themselves, this is the perfect book to start out with. Every investor or any person I know who's trying to get out of the 9-to-5 world has read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and only positives have came from it. And even for myself, even the beginning where he's breaking down the paths of the rich dad and the poor dad, because he's showing you from an example of having both dads. So it's cool to see that the rich dad is implementing principles in the kid to then have the self-worth to do something that he feels like is super valuable to him, and it doesn't have to be on the same grain as everybody else, compared to the poor dad who it's just like get a job, pay your bills, put your head down and work. And there's nothing wrong with either, but it just shows you the different perspective of both options.
Yeah, and they're both available, right? Like, that's the main thing. And like, just so you guys know, what I think Robert's trying to like explain is just like what you're saying. When he says poor, he means it almost like not poor of money, because if I'm not mistaken, the poor dad,
He did pretty well.
he was like a professor doing six figures, right? Like, he was doing all right. Like, he had tenure. Like, I'm pretty sure he was good. The point he was trying to make was like that, like he was poor of knowledge, right? Poor of exposure. The rich dad was rich of knowledge and exposure and opportunity. Mm-hmm. So that's the main takeaway. They're both, in terms of like our like America's expectations. Like, you see that guy with the nice car, nice house, a professor, right? He's might be seen as successful. It's just that the rich dad is ends up being rich of money, extremely rich. But not only that, before that, he's rich of time. Right, rich of opportunity, rich of exposure. So,
yeah, that's a great point. And one other thing I wanted to bring up is it's more of a mindset thing than a tactic in this book. That he talks about when something goes wrong. I don't remember the exact example, but with the rich dad, something goes wrong, and what he sees it as is, like Ronnie said, an opportunity. It's like, oh man, we didn't get to have enough time to go out tonight to do something, but he looks at the silver lining and how can I be better from this, and what can I learn from it. The poor dad looks at it as poor me. Why did this go wrong for me? Screw this. Waste more time with the negative energy. And that's why the rich dad is always one step ahead, because he's already looking at this as a learning experience. Even if I failed, I learned from it, and now I'm going to use that to my advantage. So I feel like everybody deals with that in life, right? You're going to run into problems. You're going to fail. It's just how do you look at these problems or experiences is going to help shape your future.
Like, a good example of that, which is I think a great story, is remember the comic books? Mm-hmm. So like, they had a job, but they were like underpaid, so they were getting paid 5 cents instead of like the 10 that they thought they deserved. So yeah, remember? Yeah. So then they want to buy more comic books, but you know, they needed more money. So the poor dad approach to that is like, well, I have to go to my employer and try to get a raise, right? The rich dad approach was like, how can I make more money, right, with less time. So what they decided to do was save up money, buy comic books, and when they had enough comic books, they opened up a little library in the basement in which they charged 5 cents per entry. So all the kids from the neighborhood would pay 5 cents every Saturday to go in there, read the books that they had, and now while the kids were working at this grocery store, they were making 5 cents per kid every Saturday. And then even cooler, they ended up hiring their little sister, and they paid her like 2 or 3 cents to stay there, and she was happy. And they were just making bank.
And they still own the comics.
Mm-hmm. And they still owned it. So that's like just like how to see two different issues and how to like go about it, right? The poor dad would ask for more money. Rich dad was like, how can I make this into a good opportunity?
Yeah, and I feel like that just comes back to mindset, right? So this is what, look at that, mic drops. This is what Robert Kiyosaki, I feel like, tries to instill in people, that nothing's right or wrong. It just depends on your experience and how you take it. And perception is reality. Yeah. If you start seeing things a certain way, you're going to continue going down that path. So he just breaks it down for you. Hey, there's another way to think about something. Let's at least see if this is the best option for you. People want options. This gives you options, and I feel like it's a great book for anybody looking to see what options they have available for themselves.
Yeah, legit. I mean, there's nothing I can say. I mean, I'm going to go jump into rating. This is a 10 on my book. My end, by far.
Yeah, this is a 10 out of 10. Book changed people's lives, and it's still a staple in business world.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, it's like the entrepreneur's Bible. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Definitely like and subscribe, and we'll keep on kind of hammering through these as we read more and more books.
Boom.